With the NBA season right around the corner, I feel like now would be the time for me to make my predictions on how I think the standings will be by the end of the season. Since this season will be so unique with no fans, short regular season, and also being mindful of COVID, who knows how the season will play out. The NBA has implemented a play-in tournament, so what that means is teams who finish 7 through 10 will compete in a single elimination game to earn their way into the playoffs. The 7th and 8th seed team faces off, and the ninth and 10th seed team face off. The winner of the 7 and 8 matchup advances to the playoffs, while the losers faces the winner of the 9 through 10 matchup. The winner of this advances and secures the last spot in the playoffs. So instead of predicting 1 through 8 standings, I will predict 1 through 10 standings and also choose who will win during the play-in tournament. This video will be my Eastern Conference prediction, and I will also do a separate video breaking down the West. So without further ado, let's get to the video. The bottom of the Eastern Conference last year was really tight. Only 3 games separated the ninth and 15th seed, so it's going to be tough to predict the bottom portion because ultimately 5 teams would be knocked out before the play-in tournament. Nonetheless, I'm going to start with my pick to finish 10th in the East, and that would be the Orlando Magic. After being the 8th seed this past year and the 7th seed in 2019, I see the Magic barely hanging on to the 10th seed because I believe some of the other bottom teams got better. Them losing DJ Augustine hurt them because he played well in the playoffs the past 2 years and was a guard who could relieve Markel Fultz. They drafted Cole Anthony, so he'll most likely be battling for a starting position over Fultz. The Magic team is young across the board, but I still think they'll grab that 10th seed spot. In the ninth spot, I have the Atlanta Hawks. They have made a lot of moves this offseason to get better. Their most notable moves were signing Danilo Gallinari and Bogdan Bogdanovic. They also signed Chris Dunn for perimeter defense and Rajon Rondo, who will bring leadership and playmaking ability. They also have young bigs in Clint Capella, John Collins, and rookie Onyeka Okongwu. On paper, this team seems like a solid team on paper, and they're only going to get better. The only reason I have them out of the top 8 is because I haven't seen them play together yet. They have a lot of pieces to work with, and I can see them being one of the best three-point shooting teams in the league with the talent they have. Again, we still have to see how they play, so putting them at 9 is a safe bet. With this, they would face the Orlando Magic in the play-in tournament, and I would take Atlanta beating Orlando, which would eliminate them from playoff contention. The Hawks would have to await the loser of the 7th and 8th seed game. On to the 8th seed, I will have the Washington Wizards. They have had a pretty busy offseason. One of their moves was trading John Wall to the Houston Rockets for Russell Westbrook. Bradley Beal has spent the last 2 seasons as the Wizards' only reliable scorer, but that will change this season with Westbrook by his side. They also have decent role players like Davis Bertans, Ish Smith, Thomas Bryant, and Shabazz Napier. I expect Rui Hachimura to get better this offseason, and I think that Denny Avdija will provide quality production for being a rookie. One thing that I will pay attention to is how Westbrook will fit in the offense. He will reunite with Scott Brooks, who coached him in OKC, so I feel like this is the year the Wizards could make the playoffs. But that depends on who they match up against in the play-in tournament. Just like that, the team I have finishing 7th is the Indiana Pacers. They haven't made a lot of free agency moves, and I feel like the team is on the verge of trading players away. Victor Oladipo was a name that was brought up in trade rumors, but he shot those down. And Miles Turner was a guy who was reportedly on the move, but that never happened. As constructed right now, they are pretty much bringing back the same squad but under a new head coach, and that's one of the reasons why I have them finishing as low as 7. They were a 5th seed under a coach named McMillan, and I don't know much about their new head coach. Also, teams like the Nets and Sixers have gotten better and will be better than them this upcoming season. I honestly don't know what to expect from this team, but I feel like they will finish around 500 for the season. For the play-in tournament in this scenario, they would face the Wizards, and I believe that Washington could upset Indy in this matchup. So with the win, Washington would secure the 7th spot, and Indiana would face Atlanta to battle for the 8th spot. As exciting as the Hawks sound, I will give the edge to Indy. It's just a hunch, but Atlanta's time will come soon. I just don't think that they're ready just yet. At number 6 will be the Brooklyn Nets. They're a team that I'm excited to see play. We'll see KD after going down with an Achilles injury in 2019 and see how Kyrie Irving does. The Nets have had a wild offseason with the hiring of Steve Nash as head coach and bringing along Mike D'Antoni as assistant coach. Alongside KD and Kyrie, they have two bigs in DeAndre Jordan and Jared Allen, and quality guards in Spencer Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert. The big question I have for this team is going to be KD's and Kyrie's health. If they are going to make a big move, as constructed right now, I really like their bench, and trading for another star would deplete that. We also have to pay attention to Steve Nash as head coach and how he'll handle the personalities of KD and Kyrie. I feel like having them at 6 is pretty fair. For number 5, I will place the Toronto Raptors. They lost key pieces like Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol in free agency, and watching Pascal Siakam struggle in the second round of the playoffs this past year, I feel like there's going to be a drop-off for the Raptors. They recently extended Fred VanVleet, so he'll be here. He'll be there for a while, and they still have Kyle Lowry alongside him and head coach Nick Nurse. This team will still find ways to be competitive with other teams. Guys like OG Anunoby and Terrence Davis will see an increased role. The biggest question I have for this team would be, is Pascal Siakam ready to be the number one option? With Lowry getting older, he's going to have to step up. He struggled against Boston in the second round, and he's going to have to do more for the Raptors to stay near the top of the Eastern Conference. Them getting the number 5 spot is reasonable given the competition of the other teams in the Eastern Conference. Sitting at number 4, I have the Philadelphia 76ers. They're coming off a season where they struggled with injuries and had to scrape through the playoffs. With them hiring Doc Rivers as head coach, I'm confident he'll get the most out of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. They offloaded Al Horford's massive contract for Danny Green from the Thunder, so hopefully he can start making threes for them. If not, they signed Seth Curry as well, so they have options. They also signed Dwight Howard, who will be a good backup for Embiid. Having two physical bigs to deal with will drain teams, and an advantage Philly will have. I'll be looking forward to see how and if Ben Simmons' game has changed, because if he stays the same player, then I can't see how him and Embiid can coexist. Maybe Doc will get the ball out of his hands and utilize him more as a paint player, or he can convince Simmons to start shooting mid-ranges and threes. Embiid's health is always a question mark, but he's a 25-10 guy easy when healthy. They still have Tobias Harris, who is another scoring option. If Philly can stay healthy and Doc implements an offense to where both Simmons and Embiid can thrive in, they can be a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference. Now we've reached the top 3 teams, and these are teams that I believe are finals bound. So at number 3, I have the team that's fresh off of a finals appearance, and that's the Miami Heat. This is a team that proved a lot of people wrong last season, and I'm sure no one is sleeping on them. They have a lot of returning players, so I expect them to finish near the top of the Eastern Conference. It's going to be tough for them since they just came off a finals berth and every team is going to give them their best shot. Having a player like Jimmy Butler will bode well for them as they look to push towards the regular season and possibly make another playoff push. The big question for this team is, can they do it again? They lost Jay Crowder in free agency and Derrick Jones Jr., but they also picked up Avery Bradley that will contribute to Miami's defense and three-point shooting. This is a really good team, but they're going to have a lot of competition if they really want to make a deep playoff push. The Boston Celtics over the last few years have established themselves as one of the best teams in the East and will be for years to come. Because of this, they will sit at the number 2 spot. Led by their 2 young stars, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they are poised to make a finals push after coming up short in recent years. This team is solid, well-developed, and everyone seems to know their role. Marcus Smart's a perfect 3-and-D guard for them. They have Kemba Walker running the point and can put up 20 a game if need be. They also picked up Jeff Teague and Tristan Thompson in free agency to add to their deep roster. I have a lot of high hopes for this team to do well, and they have the pieces to make the finals. Honestly, I don't have much to say about this team. It's just, I feel like their time is now and soon, and they can't just keep coming up short every year. They're poised to make a finals sooner rather than later, and this year could be the year. But as for regular season standings, I predict that they will be the 2nd seed. And for the 3rd consecutive year, the Milwaukee Bucks will be the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. I honestly have no doubts about this team's ability in the regular season. But I honestly don't care what they do in the regular season because of how they went out during the playoffs the past 2 years. Acquiring Drew Holiday was huge for them because he can create his own shot and set up other guys, so the Bucks won't have to heavily rely on Giannis to be the primary ball handler. Most teams game plan for Giannis to have the ball in his hands a lot on the perimeter, so if the Bucks can create an offense where Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, or any other guard can set up Giannis for easy looks, they can make it out of the East and contend for the NBA title. If not, and they go back to the same offense, having Giannis just ISO trying to spin through multiple defenders, I can see the Bucks getting eliminated before the finals yet again. And I don't think anyone would be ready to have a conversation if the Bucks went out before the finals. But they'll still finish as the first seed in the East, though. So, in the end, this is how I think the standings in the East will shake out. Hopefully, I'm mostly correct, but this is just a prediction. I'll come back at the end of the season to see if I'm correct or remotely close. But I'll be doing another video like this, but on the Western Conference. So, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like and subscribe, and I will see y'all later.